Hey guys, SuperHorrorBro Mike here, and in today's video, we venture into the world of virtual reality animatronic mayhem as we take a look at all minigames, animatronics, and jump scares found within Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2. So sit back, relax, and let's explore Fazbear Entertainment's latest VR-themed nightmare. In arts and crafts, we are joined by the eccentric but well-meaning daycare attendant in his son form.
Welcome to the Superstar Daycare! You're just in time for arts and crafts! Now you just sit right there and don't move! I'll go fetch whatever materials you need, okay?
Sun explains that we must correctly paint a randomized picture before the timer runs down. Fail to do so, and the attendant will put us in timeout. We are given a sticky dart gun to select different items from two selection boards, one to the left and the other to the right. To change the items displayed on these boards, we must pull a cord to the right of the desk. Using these tools, Phase 2 of Arts and Crafts once again imposes a time limit on the player, as we are to assemble a randomized craftwork masterpiece. Selecting eyes, ears, mouths, arms, and legs to add two paper plates which make up the body. Match those up to the image displayed on screen, and the daycare attendant showers us with praise, but failing to do so will put us in timeout once more. Things are made more difficult if players are inaccurate with their shooting. Missing the items and instead shooting the lights ends with the daycare attendant's moon variant showing up for a jump scare instead. The second Arts and Crafts minigame can be found in the Ruined Game mode, accessed when removing the Vanny mask. This time things are considerably harder. We now find ourselves in the loft above the daycare. Sun cowers in a nearby tent, while Moon prowls the environment, ever so slowly inching closer to attack. To protect ourselves, we must use the Fazbear flashlight to ward off the attendant who is sensitive to bright light. The flashlight must also be used to navigate the environment, as we now find ourselves crafting in total darkness. The flashlight is used to identify which colours to paint with and which items to select from the boards. However, the flashlight cannot be used indefinitely. Its power quickly drains. It must be recharged at the nearby charge station, but doing so leaves players vulnerable to attack and without a way to see what they're doing in the dark. Good luck, you'll need it. Ever wanted to give a Fazbear Entertainment animatronic a fancy makeover? Well, the Salon series of minigames allows that very dream to come true. There are 3 rounds in total. The first focuses on glamorizing staff bots, the second on Roxy, and the third on Ruined Roxy. Each round becomes progressively harder with additional dangers levied against the player.
Welcome to my world-famous glam rock beauty salon. Here we make children beautiful, presentable, and socially acceptable.
In Staff Makeover, things are kept pretty simple. A staff bot shows up and must be painted with the correct colour makeup. Then we must select the correct jewellery to decorate them with from a rotating stand to the left. The only real distraction during this round comes from Glitch Trap, who occasionally glitches out the screen to prevent us from seeing our visual aid. Fail to correctly glam up the staff bots too many times and we are met with the following jump scare. Next up is Roxanne Wolf, who has an unhealthy obsession with beauty and warns us in no uncertain terms of the consequences for failure. Roxy's minigame works in the exact same way, except this time we must maintain eye contact with the agitated wolf as much as possible while performing the makeover. Look away for too long or mess up her glow up and Roxy attacks.
Look at me!
Finally, we have Roxy Repair. where an enraged, ruined Roxy wishes to look beautiful once again. Or as beautiful as a shattered animatronic can look, that is. Furious over her lost beauty after Gregory crushed and then burned her during the story of Security Breach, players must now not only maintain eye contact, but also use the Roxy talkie to calm her down. Though if we fail to do so, ruined Roxy pounces.
Look at me. You are the beauty. You are indestructible. Look at me.
Sporting a pair of rubber mallets, Bonabbom presents players with a game of VR-themed whack-a-mole, as we are tasked with bopping bonbons as they pop out of a cluster of holes in the machine before us. However, as with anything FNAF, there's a twist. We must be sure to avoid accidentally hitting Helpy, as he will also periodically emerge from the same set of holes. Bonking Helpy decreases our overall score, so it's important to stay vigilant and whack with care. Things get even dicier when Plush Baby is added to the mix. If a Plush Baby appears from the depths of the machine, we are cued by an eerie giggling sound. Leave the Plush Baby rattling away above ground for too long, and it's game over. During round 2, things take place in the dark, making it far harder to keep track of what's emerging from the machine. Not only that, we are required to fix up the machine mid-game by rewiring the circuits with the correct wires. The sequence is written out on a sticky note above, and if we rewire these cables in reverse order, we unlock one of the plushies needed to gain access to the secret Princess Quest minigame. DJ Music Man is a horrifying sight, and is even more intimidating when looming above players in VR. After emerging from his DJ booth, the Music Man continues to mix it up live on the dance floor. To mix it up with him, we must match the symbols on the screen before us by moving the various slides and dials on the mixing desk. Get the sequence right and Music Man happily grooves away, but fail and a terrifying jump scare awaits. There are 3 rounds of DJ Music Time, and each adds new symbols and lengthens their duration. In addition to remembering more, we must also fend off DJ Music Man's miniature minions as they crawl from various holes around the environment, using the flash of this Fazcam to send them scuttling back into hiding. If the Music Men get too close, then eventually, DJ Music Man takes on a ruined form, making it all the more difficult to concentrate on matching the beat, as the horrifying spidery remains of the DJ loom overhead. What could be more relaxing than a spot of bowling in Bonnie Bowl? Normally a fun way to blow off steam, this particular version of the American classic is tainted by death traps featuring animatronic jump scares from both Moon and Plush Baby. As we bowl away for that elusive high score, Plush Baby will at times begin making her way from the pins toward our position. If she reaches the player, then it's game over, so aim with care and send her hurtling back into the gutter. Likewise, Moon will periodically pop up in the ceiling cavity above, requiring us to pick up a nearby flashlight and repel him. There are other dangers too. Monty Gator heads shoot out from either side of a lane, stopping our bowling ball in its tracks. Even Glamrock Bonnie himself shows up as a massive chomping wall. To avoid a game over, we must perfectly time our throw, sending the bowling ball through the gap in Bonnie's open mouth and praying it makes contact with the pins on the other side. Phaser Blaster in hand, we are greeted by a brown bear called Carney, who welcomes us to partake in a spot of gunslinging across a variety of differently themed shooting ranges. There's a Galactic Space range, a Wild West range, followed by ones themed around Five Nights at Freddy's 1, 2, and 3. The latter is unlocked if special requirements are met during the previous 4 rounds, and pits the player against a shuffling cutout version of everybody's favourite ruined rabbit, Springtrap. By completing this secret bonus round, we also unlock another one of those elusive plushies, granting us access to the Princess Quest arcade machine. While blasting away at multicolored targets in pursuit of a legendary high score, various threats in the form of plush babies and cutout classic animatronics get in our way. Plush Baby can float down from above using balloons, as well as slowly walking toward us and hiding in hard to spot places. If we don't take care of her in time, then it's game over. To do so, the player not only has their trusty blaster, but is also given throwing balls and a dart gun. The dart gun and throwing balls can also be used to take care of certain targets on the shooting range, and to pop balloon versions of various animatronics that appear in the vents to the left and right of the player. There's a lot to keep track of, so shoot for the stars. It's Little Jimmy's birthday, but he has no cake.
Please retrieve Little Jimmy's birthday cake and place it on the birthday card. However, I must warn you, due to extreme temperature fluctuations, I am not quite myself at the moment. Do be careful.
And so we find ourselves in cold storage, a frozen back room where we stand before Glamrock Freddy, who has a delicious ice cream cake in his possession. The trouble is, said cake is locked inside his chest, and to access it, we're going to need to thaw out Freddy and do a little maintenance work on his endo. To begin with, players must take a heat gun and carefully melt the ice binding Freddy's arm plates. Next, we use different shaped tools to pop the plates open and then replace the battery and keep a consistent temperature as Freddy recharges. To access Freddy's chest plate, a button inside his mouth must be activated. To do this, remove the bear's eyes and then press his nose, which pops his mouth open. Then we must quickly press the button inside Freddy's mouth without his endo jaw biting off our fingers. This is followed by a sequence where we must keep the endo chest cool as it begins to overheat. And finally, the birthday cake can be removed and replaced by a decoy. Failing any of these objectives along the way will result in Freddy attacking with a sudden jump scare. In first aid, it's time to put on a surgical mask and gloves and patch up Helpy, who has sustained a multitude of nasty injuries while going about his day at the Mega Pizzaplex. We are given a selection of medical accessories to restore the lovable bear to full health, including a scanner to identify where the injury lies and how to treat it. There are 3 rounds of first aid, and each introduces a different animatronic, who make their way through the vents to the left and right of the room, as well as on occasion peeking through the curtain before us. The animatronics in question are Pig Patch, Lefty, and Scrap Baby. If we ignore these oncoming threats instead of staring them down, they attack and Helpy will go untreated. Let's check out each of their jump scares. There are also audio cues that will draw the animatronics quickly to our position. The first comes from the nearby television, which periodically turns on to play Fazbear themed advertisements. If this happens, quickly grab the remote and switch the TV back off. The second audio cue comes from Helpy himself, who rightly screams out in pain after we begin certain procedures, including hitting him with the hammer and sawing off his broken leg. If Helpy starts to yelp, quickly apply the gas mask to his face to calm him back down. After a job well done, it's time to reward Helpy with a candy for being such a good patient. It's time to don the boss cap as we are placed into the shoes of a factory manager overseeing a team of staff bots working on the factory floor below. Each bot is responsible for a different ingredient used to prepare Fizzy Faz concoctions. Our job is to prepare these mixers by selecting the correct ingredients from the dispensers to our left. However, these staff bots often grow tired and must be given breaks when needed, as well as hurried up if slacking off in their job roles. This is done by pressing the work or pause buttons to our right. We can check to see what each worker is up to by pressing the button with the corresponding ingredient assigned to that robot. Simple, right? Well, it gets pretty tricky as orders begin to come in thick and fast and our supplies dwindle. If we don't allow the bots their required breaks, they eventually show up in nightmare form to attack us. This can be prevented by locking down the office, but doing this too often will lead to failure. One final wrench in the works comes in the form of Glamrock Chica. The greedy chicken is happily snacking on garbage in the waste disposal room, but will come looking for food if we don't provide her with enough waste. Chica only appears in later rounds, but is an instant game over, so we must be sure to waste enough ingredients in between successful orders to keep her at bay. We can also unlock our next plushie on Fizzyfaz by mixing up a special Fizzyfaz concoction. I've made a video on how to do this, which I'll link at the end of this one. The Endo Warehouse is fairly straightforward, so long as you have a good memory, that is. Before us sits an endoskeleton with a screen for a head. This screen will show a tick when we get answers correct and a cross when we fail. On the table in front of us is a selection of cards that appear at random. These cards display different pictures featuring activities and events that the player must match up. After memorizing the cards, they flip, and we now have to remember where of each two matching images appeared. This matching grows increasingly more challenging as more and more cards appear per round, though we are granted a few chances to take a second look at the images should we require a reminder. However, what makes Endo Warehouse such a hellish minigame is the variable developer Steelwall Studios so very kindly throw into the mix to take our eyes off the prize. Endoskeletons constantly shamble towards the player when we take our eye off them to focus on the tabletop. These attackers must be flashed with the Fazcam, which then sends them to the back of a room, where they begin their journey toward us once more. If we fail to remember the cards, then the dealer attacks, and it's lights out. In food prep, we must prepare orders for staff bots at various eateries around the Mega Pizzaplex. There's a host of different food and drinks to choose from, and we must ensure they are topped with the correct condiments. These food prep stages take place across 3 different locations. In El Chips, we must prepare Mexican-themed delicacies across the morning, afternoon, and evening rush hours. Food must be prepared in the microwave and then topped off with the correct sauce, or the staff bots will lose their temper and attack. In Pizza Pizza Pizza, as the name suggests, we prepare pizza-themed snacks using the grill to our right. However, this time, Chica prowls around the food station, and if we are too slow preparing orders, she decides to feast on us instead. In the final round, Fazbear Theatre, we serve Chica in her ruined form. This time, things are made more complicated as there are far more snacks to prepare, including popcorn and pretzels. Drinks must also now be mixed into shakes by combining a variety of different ingredients into some quite revolting concoctions. Keep Chica fed and our only worries will be how we clean up all this mess. By disposing of certain ingredients in a nearby trash can, we can unlock the next secret Princess Quest plushie. In Carousel, we are given the daunting job of repairing a merry-go-round while being hunted by Moon from the shadows. To repel Moon, as always, we must pick up the handy-dandy flashlight and blind him with its beam. This is only a temporary stay of execution though. Much like William Afton, Moon always comes back. To repair the carousel, we must complete 4 steps. First, remove the broken fuses from the control panel and replace them with new ones. At this point, the carousel begins to turn and Moon becomes a moving target, harder to keep track of as he cackles away in the darkness around us. Step 2 requires us to replace broken dials on the control panel and then connect up the circuit between them. Step 3 requires us to remove an old circuit board and replace it with a new one. then fit the correct colour and sized connectors to it, and finally to fix everything together with a soldering gun. Completing step 3 activates the final sequence. As warning lights begin to flash, the carousel spins faster and faster, making it harder to keep track of Moon, who now becomes far more aggressive. We must survive Moon's onslaught of attacks while a timer counts down to 0, at which point we can finally pat ourselves on the back for a job well done. During the Cinder Carousel stage, we must fend off the unnerving Jackamoon variant instead, during a darker and more explosive Halloween themed round. You may remember Help Wanted's Curse of Dreadbear DLC, which introduced audiences to a log Flume Ride shooting gallery, hosted by none other than the swashbuckling pirate himself, Foxy.
Aim to get a high score, or I'll give you the old cactus keelhaul. Have a rootin' tootin' time. Yee-har!
This same attraction returns in Help Wanted 2, but this time the setting is Western themed. As we gently float downstream, various Wild West themed targets appear and must be shot in specific places, highlighted by coloured lights. Different colours provide different scores per shot. However, there's more to this simple river ride than meets the eye. You'll notice little helpy cutouts appear at various points throughout our journey. Shooting these changes the route forward, opening up a selection of secret areas. These hidden backwaters are where the real challenge resides, and potential death awaits. Here we are stalked by the Jacko version of Moon, who attacks if we fail to seal the doors and windows he appears behind in time. If we successfully unlock all backwater areas and shoot all sun symbols hidden throughout the log ride, then we are taken to one final secret location. Here, from a treasure chest rises Glitchtrap's hand, presenting us with another plushie for the Princess Quest minigame. Balora Gallery is surely one of the most panic-inducing minigames to be found in Help Wanted 2. Laying flat to the ground, players must use hand motions to crawl from one side of Balora's gallery to the other. If we make it to the other side, then the exit is our prize, but if we are caught en route, then
don't be shy.
As well as avoiding Balora as she dances around the environment, sometimes mere inches from our position, we are also tasked with swatting away her army of mini-renas. These tiny dancers spin out of the surrounding darkness and close in on our position, alerting Balora in the process. We must also be sure not to move while Balora is dancing, as doing so sets off her sensors and leads her directly over. It's a game of patience and rising anxiety, as we edge ever so closer to our freedom. Trapped in a dark room with a roaming animatronic is a pretty terrifying proposition, and that's exactly the scenario Breaker Room places the player in. The sister location themed Breaker Room minigame tasks us with restoring power to the main controls by pulling different switch combinations. While we attempt to restore power, Funtime Freddy roams around the room, disappearing and reappearing as the lights flicker on and off. To combat his advances, we must pick up a nearby megaphone and play audio cues that assure Funtime nobody is there, at which point he returns to his stage at the far side of the room. If we lose track of Funtime Freddy and he reaches us, however, we're in for a fright. Meanwhile, in the second Breaker Room mode, an even more horrifying animatronic awaits in the form of Endo, who is even harder to make out due to this second stage being far darker. You can probably guess what happens if we fail to repel Endo. Next, we find ourselves in the sister location security room, and have a selection of minigames which take place within, set across 4 separate stages. The first of these stages is called Private Room, and pits us against the haunting Endo amalgamation, Ennard. We must check the cameras on the feed before us to monitor Ennard's movements. He can emerge from the vent directly in front of us, as well as the hallways to the left and right. Simply keep track of Ennard's movements and close the doors as necessary. But we must be mindful of the remaining power, as it's possible to drain it completely, leaving us open to attack. In stage 2, titled Puppet Master, we must defend ourselves against Balora as she dances toward the office. However, nothing can ever be simple, and to make life more difficult, both the Mini-Renas and Bidybab will attempt to drain the power and block us from activating the door controls. When the Mini-Renas begin to appear in the office, quickly grab them or swap them away from the switches. And if Bidybab shows up on the camera feed, give him a quick shock to prevent the power from draining. Fail to do so, and Balora will dance her way into the security room. Also, while in this room, we are able to grab the final plushie required for the Princess Quest ending. This is unlocked by opening the drawer and inputting the code 1983. Funtime Gang pits us against the Funtime Animatronics. Chica walks the halls to our left and right in search of her cupcake, which resides in the office beside us. In order to prevent Chica from reaching our position, we must check the camera to see which hall she is standing in, and then move the cupcake to the opposite side of the office. This reroutes her and prevents her from attacking with the following jump scare. Meanwhile, Funtime Freddy lobs out Bonbon, who can either emerge from the left or right hallway, or the vent directly in front of us. When Bonbon shows up, close the respective shutter to prevent him from jumping into the office like this. And finally, we have Funtime Foxy. As the night plays out, Foxy will peek their head from behind the curtain of their stage, located on the upper camera feed. They then begin to inch closer to the edge of the monitor. As soon as Foxy vanishes from sight, quickly close both doors to prevent them from rushing the office. Job Interview is the final of the sister location stages. This time, Circus Baby speaks to us and explains that she is going to test us with 3 separate games.
When the lights go out, we pass the time by playing make-believe. Let's play Office. I will be the boss, and you will be the worker.
Each of these games pits us against oncoming plush babies. The first challenge is red light, green light. We must shine our flashlight beam on advancing plush babies to stop them in their tracks. But as soon as the light moves to a new target, the ones no longer illuminated will continue their march forward. So it's vital to keep track of the distance between each plush baby and fix them in place accordingly. The second game is hide and seek. During this game, we must locate plush babies on camera feeds around the building and be sure to shock them when they appear. The final game is flashlight tag. This time, all we need to do is quickly locate a plush baby when we hear their giggle and then shine the beam of a flashlight on them until they disappear. This becomes harder as more show up, and we are forced to keep track of the order in which they appear. Eventually, after all games are complete, Circus Baby strides up to the office with a refreshing treat to congratulate us on being such a good sport.
You have earned this. Ice cream.
And so we come to the final minigame in Help Wanted 2, Princess Quest. Originally a 2D side-scrolling pixel art addition to FNAF Security Breach and the original mobile version of Help Wanted, this new VR-themed take allows us to directly step into the shoes of a sword-swinging princess as they battle their way through the depths of a castle filled with Glitchtrap's malicious code. We access this minigame by hacking into the back room of the Pizzaplex and then inserting a special purple coin. provided to us by Mystic Hippo after we have collected up those elusive plushies. Once we have survived our journey through the castle grounds, we emerge at a courtyard where it's possible to access a secret basement area containing a Bonnie mask. The player then comments that this mask feels familiar. At the end of the stage, a king passes us the glitch trap plushie from the original Help Wanted, and we then ride up an elevator leading to a very strange encounter with a giant version of Vanny. Perhaps you're interested to know what all of this may mean, or maybe you'd like to check out an in-depth guide for how to unlock each of the secret plushies and access the Princess Quest arcade machine for yourselves. If so, check out these videos. There will be a link at the end of this one. And talking about the end of this video, it's time to say goodbye now and conclude this in-depth look at each and every minigame from Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2. This video took a while to put together, so I hope you enjoyed it and found it both entertaining and informative. If you did, remember to leave a like, comment down below, and of course subscribe for more horror-related content. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.